Hey, make sure you hit that like button. I am up early today getting this video out for you because this is some bonkers news. Yo, so right then, I don't normally cover news and releases that often unless it's something absolutely gargantuan and mental, and that's exactly what we have here today, baby. It's early in the morning, I've barely woke up, but I saw some leaks and I was like, whoa! So let's take a look at these new fusion cards and how meta defining they're going to be. Right then, so in Japan, they're going to get these fusion art cards in September. So we'll probably get them a little bit later on. But my lord, these fusion cards are insane. So what fusion cards are essentially, you've got your single strike, you've got rapid strike. Well, now we've got these fusion cards. Well, they're exactly the same. They're like this new sort of mechanic that is like a third option to single strike and rapid. So as you can see there, they've got the fusion logo there in the corner. So that means there's going to be a whole lot of archetype support, similar to like single strike energy, rapid strike energy, you know, Persimmon. There's going to be a whole load of support for these. And trust me, there are some good ones. Let's get to the Mew VMAX, yeah? And see what that looks like. Right, so we've got Mew VMAX, 310 HP with that fusion tag, and it's got 2 attacks. The first one, for colorless, is cross fusion, and does choose one of your bench fusion Pokemon's attacks and use it as this attack. Now, we've seen Mew do this sort of thing, right? From like Mew EX and maybe even in Mew Prime, where it just sort of copies attacks from elsewhere. And you know, a lot of the times, this kind of attack has been pretty good if you ever need to hit for psychic weakness or something like this. But it might not be as helpful on a VMAX instead of a basic, because it's now no longer a sort of one card tech wonder. You do have to evolve it. So let's see if that second attack actually gives it a bit more use. Psychic, you do 130. This attack isn't affected by effects on your opponent's active Pokemon. So the answer is a hot no. Maybe this could be good in fusion decks if you want to have a built-in way of getting around Decidueye and you don't really want to have to worry about playing non-V Pokemon, but as it stands now, I'm actually not terribly impressed with this Mew VMAX. So let's quickly look at the Mew V before we move on. The Mew V is actually kind of decent, 180 HP, which seems so low, but back when I started playing, that was the thing for every EX, you know what I mean? So you got, for one Psychic Energy, you do Psychic Mix, attach your energy from your deck to one of your fusion Pokemon, then shuffle your deck. That's pretty decent. Now, I'm always a fan of turn 1 energy acceleration. Just helps you kick over. Doesn't say anything about it having to be a basic energy yet, translation dependent. So this can be pretty cool. And then for Psychic Colorless, you do Psycho Jump, shuffle this Pokemon, all cards attached to it back into your deck. So it could be like a little bit of a hit and run type engine there, similar to Beheem, if you have a way of accelerating the Psychic Energy. So you could do like, you know, 1/1 Ghost Rider and just like keep throwing up a Decidueye or Altaria. Could be good. Also worth noting though, for this Mew VMAX, you can use the other Mew V, which has that X-Ball attack, and you might actually want to do that. So, but yeah, first initial thoughts on Mew VMAX, not terribly impressed. I guess, you know, in a format where Shadow Rider exists, you can always just turbo engines onto this, but I don't see this seeing a terrible amount of play. This next card, however, absolutely meta defining. So if you play Rapid Strike Urshifu decks, if you play Shadow Rider decks, you have to be scared of this card here. Hooper V. I'm a big fan of Hooper, one of my favorite Pokemon. Let me tell you why this card is absolutely bonkers. So it's got the ability Double Faced. While this Pokemon is in play, it is both Psychic and Dark type. Now that is a bit gnarly. So instantly hitting Shadow Rider for weakness, and you're hitting Rapid Strike, well, both the Urshifus for weakness as well. If that attack's decent, we could be onto a winner here. And you know what? It's just about good enough. For Dark Colorless, you do Shadow Impact, which is 170 damage, and put 3 damage counters on one of your Pokemon. So a bit like Giratina Shadow Impact. So this in a vacuum, oh, it's got that Fusion Tiger as well. This in a vacuum is nuts. Like I said, been able to hit 2 of like the tier 1, tier S, you know, decks in format for weakness at the same time on the same card, and to show everything else is extremely nutty. All we have to work out is how we're going to get these 3 energies on. There are some ways to accelerate fusion stuff, we'll see in a minute. So yeah, if we can get energies onto this thing and you can just sort of lock down and have really good matchups against Shadow Rider and all the Urshifus while being weak to grass as well, That seems pretty good to me. So this Hooper is definitely going to shake things up in that post-rotation format when it releases. You know, I'm all for it as well. Rapid Strike Urshifu seems to be really good in the post-rotation format. And this looks like it might take it down a peg or two. Now, if there was some fighting fusion Pokemon as well, then imagine being able to hit Eternatus for weakness, Shadow Rider for weakness, and the Urshifu for weakness, all in the same deck. That seems pretty gnarly. We also have Genesect V, a fusion Pokemon 190 HP, with the interesting ability, Fusion System. Once during your turn, you can draw cards, so you have as many cards as in your hand as fusion Pokemon you have in play. So, essentially, this could be a free Karina's Determination, whatever that card's called from the Rapid Strike, right? So if you have 6 fusion Pokemon in play, you have an empty hand, that's 6 cards before you've even played a supporter. So we'll have to wait and see if the fusion sort of box deck is very good at playing its hand down. Because if it is, you can make use of this fusion system, and it should stack as well. So that seems pretty gnarly. So let's look at the attack as well. For Metal Curl, let's do 210. This Pokemon can't attack during your next turn. I mean, it's usable. It's not bad. I imagine you probably won't be using this as an attacker, but as you'll see with the fusion energy, you can effectively use any of these Pokemon to attack. And 210 is a decent little number. You know, it gets through a lot of evolving Vs. You know, it gets through all non-rule box Pokemon. So being able to draw that many, anytime you can draw cards on an ability, you have to take this ability seriously. And this is one of those times. This could be nutty in the fusion box deck. So here we got some of the energy acceleration for the fusion cards. Now, it's up to you whether you think it's stronger or weaker than like a Houndoom or a Rapid Strike Energy. But we have Elsa's Radiance, a supporter card, a fusion supporter card, which says choose 2 of your fusion Pokemon. For each Pokemon you choose, search your deck for a fusion energy card and attach it to those Pokemon, then shuffle your deck. So before we get into the analysis, let's have a quick look at the fusion energy. That is some really nice artwork. It can only be attached to a fusion Pokemon. As long as this card is attached to a Pokemon, it provides every color energy, but only one at a time, and prevent all effects of opponents' abilities done to the Pokemon this card is attached to. So that's a pretty nutty energy. I think that's better than like the impact energies and all of them, where it says you can't be poisoned, can't be all that jazz. I think you're gonna get a whole lot more use from the fusion energy. Think about like Zigzagoon Ping, for example. You can't do that. That's the only example that comes to mind right now, but I'm sure you're thinking of plenty of examples where that impact energy is going to be pretty gnarly. So now we know what the energy does. Let's look back at Elsa's Radius. So you can essentially get 2 energies from deck for your supporter. Now, I kind of like this and I kind of don't. The reasons why I like it, energy from deck is always the best place to accelerate from, in my opinion, just because you know it's always going to be there. Well, that in the discard, but it's a lot easier to have energies in the deck than it is the discard, at least in the early games. You sort of get rolling fast, you know what I mean? And this accelerates 2 energies to 2 different Pokemon. What I don't like is that it's support for the turn that doesn't draw you cards. And in the post-rotation format, we lose the Dene, which is one of the best dumping draws we got. Now, we have Crobat, but on average, you can't draw as many cards with Crobat as you could the Dene. But equally, thinking about it, you also have the Genesect in this deck to help back you up. So maybe it seems like a pretty well-balanced card, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, attaching 2 energies from deck is a strong effect. They probably can't really have you drawing cards as well as that. Welder. So, so yeah, I'm a fan though. It does seem good enough. It's not like a world beater effect like Hooper, but it seems good enough for these fusion cards to well, to work. We've also got Chili, Silent, and Crest tag team supporter card. No, I'm joking. It's a fusion card, which says search your deck for 3 fusion Pokemon, reveal them, put them into your hand, and shuffle your deck. It's interesting that it goes straight to hand. That means it's better than like a Bridget where it put them straight to the bench. You can always use it for deck thinning. So this could be good for setting up. You know, it could be good if you really want to lean into Genesect. You can play this Chili, Silent, Crest, bench them all, then Genesect. But these tens of effects tend not to be too terribly great when you're always trying to find this basic Pokemon. It's normally easier just to play a research and find quick balls, or even just draw into the basics. So most of these fusion Pokemon we've seen are basic so far. So if that changes, if there are some good fusion VMAXs, then maybe you can look at this, because it does let you grab VMAXs. But as it stands now, I'm not too much of a fan of this. This next card though, oh boy. power tablets. Now, anytime you've got power in the name, you have to look at its card seriously. Let's have a look. During this turn, your fusion Pokemon's attacks do 30 more damage to opponent's active Pokemon. It's electro power. It's electro power for fusion Pokemon. So now you have to look at all the other attacks that we've talked about. Look at them with a pinch of salt. Anytime you see new fusion Pokemon, you have to look at them with a pinch of salt, because you can play this stacks option, right? So you can play 2 of these, 60 a turn. If you play 3 of these, that's extra 90 damage. If you manage to play all 4, it's an extra 120 damage. Now all of a sudden, there are going to be Pokemon that are starting off as 2-shots that might be creeping into 1-shots now, maybe even 1-shot in VMAXs because of this card. Like, remember Pikarom when you had Electro Power? All of a sudden, that full blitz was starting to take 1-shots on EXs and GX and that sort of stuff. You know what I mean? So, woo boy, they got to be careful with these fusion cards now, because they seem to have a lot of toolboxy stuff. But with this, they have to be careful, because we're going to have some good attackers going down soon. These almost seem more single strikey than a single striker. This seems like a single strike card to me, right? So if there's any sort of fusion item search or anything like this, if there's any like abilities on Pokemon that says, you know, search your deck for a fusion card, put it in your hand, like Octillery, for example, this gets nuts. But as it stands now, I'm not as, like I said, because in the post rotation format, there's no like immediate dump and draw as well as a supporter. Maybe this might not be as impactful, but don't get it twisted. This is nuts, and I'm sure these fusion box decks, if you have any math fixes in there, this is going straight in. Okay, we've got a Meloetta Psychic type with the Miraculous Echo 70 times for each fusion energy card attached to your Pokemon in play. Oh, it's a 7, 14, 21. Okay, I guess you top out at 280 for 2 on a 1 prize. The 280 is a bit in that middle ground though, isn't it? It's not 1-shot in V maxes. It's not, but it's way overshooting any evolving Vs. But I guess if you play a few power tablets, you actually do start 1-shot in Vs, V maxes. So that's something. Got a Dragapult Stage 2 fusion Pokemon that has Fusion Assault, 30 times each one of your fusion Pokemon in play. If you're evolving up to a Stage 2, you don't really want to be doing an attack like this. You've also got Psychic Colorless for 120. Cool artwork, but I don't see this being very impactful. Now this is an interesting one, this Gorbis. Stage 1 fusion Pokemon with the ability Rapid Strike Canceller. Your opponent's Rapid Strike Pokemon in play have no abilities. Interesting. So it's just their way of balancing Rapid Strike Urshifu in the first rotation format, but having fusion Pokemon just like stomp them. Now as it stands now, so what does this really turn off? Persibium potentially, and it turns off Octillery. Rapid Strike Urshifu obviously doesn't have any abilities, so it's not bad. It's not bad. I don't know if you actually dedicate the space to playing this, because as it stands now, the Octillery and the Persimmon aren't really the back-breaking part of Urshifu. It's more the Urshifu, and this doesn't really do much about that. But it's an interesting card to have, though. If they put anything mad for Rapid Strike on a form of ability, you can just sort of say, stop that. Ooh, now this is a bit diabolical as well. So we've got the Huntail. Stage 1 fusion Pokemon with the ability Single Strike Jammer. Your opponent's Single Strike Pokemon's attacks cost 1 colorless more. Now this is mean, because out of Single Strike, Fusion and Rapid Strike so far, it seems to be Single Strike has had the tough end of the stick, as it were, and this Hunter makes it even worse. Now, because those Single Strike energy costs are already pretty gnarly, you know, with Single Strike Urshifu requiring 4 energy, and then VMAX Duraludon needing 3. It now needs 4, and Urshifu needs 5. So, what, again, I don't know if it's worth playing. I don't know how much Single Strike decks you expect to run into, but these all evolve off the same Clamperl, so maybe you could run like a cheeky one Clamperl, 1 Huntail, 1 Gorbis, or maybe even 2 Clamperl, then 1 of each in case you need them. I mean, it's an option. It's an option for sure. They're very strong if you get them out in a needed game, that's for sure. We then got this Oricorio bench sitter, basic Pokemon 90 HP, that fusion tag obviously. And it's got the ability Ardent Lessons, I think that's it. Your fusion Pokemon in play take 20 less damage from your opponent's attack. You can only apply one of these abilities at a time. So now give all these Pokemon minus 20 damage as well. So they can hit. They've got Electro Power. They're taking 20 less damage. They can turn off your abilities or make your attacks cost 1 colorless more. Oh, and they can draw cards without a supporter. And they can attach from deck. You can see this fusion box deck seems to be really gnarly. Ooh. We then have a stage 1 Toxtricity with the ability Max Downer. If all your Pokemon play a fusion Pokemon, each of your opponent's VMAX HP comes 30 less. Wow. Now that's gnarly. So Eternatus now has 310. Wow. That's pretty game changing. So you can make them 30 HP less, and you can hit them 30 HP more with the power tablets. So there's just a lot of damage mods going on. I provided that's on the stage 1. Most of the abilities have been on the stage 1 apart from Neurocorio, so I take that into account. But you know, if you're playing that Chili, Silent, and Crest card, you can easily probably get these guys all out, and you've got the Gen Set to see card. So yeah, that's gnarly. They have to be really careful with balancing the attacks on these fusion Pokemon now, because if you can make their VMAX have 30 HP less and you have access to Electro Power, jeez, that seems strong, right? Ooh, interesting. I actually didn't see this one before. So we've got Smeargle, basic Pokemon, fusion Pokemon, with the attack, discard, sketch for 1 colorless, choose 2 fusion trainer cards from your discard pile, reveal them and put them into your hand. Now this immediately makes me think it's a good way to get back your Elters, but it's a really good way to get back your power tablets. Now, so I'm guessing the fact they've printed this, there won't be no easy way to recycle the power tablets, which is probably good. If you have to give your turn up with an attack to get back power tablets, that's not as bad, especially since your opponent can Marnie them back to the bottom. It seems balanced is what I should say. So you can get them back, it is an option, but you have to go up your attack. That's pretty good. So yeah, let me know what you think about this new fusion Pokemon. This is going to be gnarly. I can't wait to see if when they start revealing more of the attackers, because so far I've seen a lot of the support. Now let's see how these attackers go. And Hooper shake things up for sure. It's going to be tough. But thank you for watching as always though, guys. If the more sort of Pokemon TCG content and some Unite content every now and then, if you hit that like and subscribe button for me, okay? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.